take the advanced training. They're housed here in barracks up on the hill there.
Molten
There you see
Field.
some of the old chimneys standing where the barracks used to be. Over behind this hill here, on top of the hill really, was headquarters. That's where, at that time, was Captain Paris. He was in charge of Army Airfield. That was his headquarters. And then the planes were lined up all along that ramp up there. There's various types of aircraft up there, training airplane mostly. And I would assume that there were about 300 or 400 airplanes here at one time. The pilots used to come out and fly and practice out here on this strip. They're all tail draggers. And sometime when I got a chance to come over here and see them take off and land, I really got a big kick out of it. Does bring back old memories. Most of the fellows over here who flew over here came through the Moulton Field. When he was the chief pilot over there, I got acquainted with them, and I always look forward to see them get their wings, which most of them did.
Despite the achievements made by blacks in the field of aviation, America and the Army Air Corps were reluctant to accept them as qualified pilots. However, that racist notion was brought to a halt one afternoon at Tuskegee.
So Mrs. Roosevelt visited there. And being a very fair-minded woman, she came down the field where we were flying with her escorts, and she came over. She came over and spoke to me. She said, and she introduced her. Right, she introduced herself. Naturally, everybody knew it was Mrs. Roosevelt. She said, "And I always heard that you couldn't fly. But I see you're flying around here. So you don't seem to be having any problems." She said, I just think I'll take a ride with you. And then everybody flew up in the air. "No, you're not going to do it. You're not going up with him." The people were with us, see. And I even believed that in order to stop her blood, I even believed they called the president. But eventually she just decided and determined to go. So sure enough, she got in the airplane and went up with me, and we flew around the campus and came back. She said, "Well, you can fly all right." So it wasn't long after that we heard that there was Tuskegee would be selected as a training place for blacks in the Army Air Corps.
As Tuskegee's flight instructor, this father of black aviation overcame tremendous obstacles and turned civilian trainees into some of the best fighter pilots in World War II. One of his proudest achievements was teaching a student who went on to become the Air Force's first black general, Benjamin O. Davis, Jr.
Interestingly enough, however, it was people like Chief Anderson who were able to maintain the interest among black people in flying in this very sparse period of support by the white world for black aviation. And I would say without any question whatsoever that Chief Anderson probably is the single key figure in maintaining the continuity and relationship between what existed before World War II and what happened in World War II. This one class went on, of course. It was followed each month by a new set of graduates. Enough were finally graduated, the first 25, to form a fighter squadron. This was called in those days the 99th Pursuit Squadron. We left the old T-6 and started flying T-40.
General Davis was a very efficient man. He'd never forget anything that you told him. He flew well and had no problems whatsoever. As a matter of fact, I remember one instance when we were doing a maneuver, and I had told him to do this maneuver a certain way. And that particular day, I guess I told him a different way. He said, "That's not the way you told me the first time." So anyhow, so we went back to the first time, and I remember a lot of instances wherein he was very, very strict and rigid, because he's a West Point man. I guess that was his training, and his daddy had been a general. I remember the day he soloed. there was a sergeant there, who was a white sergeant, because all the officers then were white. And then General Day was the first man to solo in that program. And he said, well, he soloed all right. He didn't crack the airplane, didn't anything happen. He said, but I don't know what's going to happen when they get to heavier airplanes. But I didn't make any remarks because it didn't make sense to me, because there's no reason why he couldn't fly the heavy airplanes, because I was a flight instructor and I could have flown him. There's no reason why he'd fly. Now, General Day was, as I say again, he was 100% military. He was taking a check ride. Everybody had to take a check ride from the Army people, Army officials who were over the whole program. So on this particular check ride, when I got the grade slip, they had marked on the grade, although he passed the check ride, they marked on the grade slip that he did not look back after his first turn. So I questioned the officer. I said, I don't see how that's possible, because Major Davis always looked back. He said, that's impossible. You know, well, he didn't look back this time. So then I asked, I think he was a major then, Major Davis, did you look back on your first turn? He said, yeah, sure, I looked back. He said, well, the officer, I'm not going to call a name, because he said that you didn't look back. I said, why didn't you tell him that you looked back? He said, you're not supposed to dispute your superior officer. And that dropped it right there. But he did look back. So that was just showing how strict he was. He was just 100% military. He would not tell the man, wouldn't dispute him and tell him that he did look back, but of course he did.
What kind of men washed out?
Well, I can remember as a matter of fact, I know some of the men very well who were excellent men, but they were very aggressive, and sometimes they said things or did things that the people in higher brackets didn't like. One was Calvin R. Harris. He eventually started the airplane operation of his own. As a matter of fact, if he had lived, I think one day he might have become the mayor of Pensacola, Florida. But he died, unfortunately, he died. And he's so well thought of, and he's such an excellent pilot. Man, he eventually came over to Moulton Field as a flight instructor. But they washed him out because I guess they just didn't like his attitude. And I can think of many others who were washed out likewise. I remember one person by the name of John Young. He was an excellent young man. He was a flight instructor over at Moulton Field. He went over to the Army Airfield. And it was a incident over there where a cadet was using the telephone, and the local operator, of course they're all white, said something to him. I don't know what it was, but anyhow, he said something back to her that she reported him, that he had, disputed her, said something about her, and he had a trial. And John Young spoke up for him at this particular trial. And wasn't long before John Young was washed out. And so was this other young man. He washed him out. So that was just pure prejudice, 100%.